All right, good morning. You're welcome to Newday on People's Television. And we plan to make a day really memorable. And I'm not alone. I've got Thelma Madi here with me.
Good morning and welcome to Newday this very beautiful morning. Good morning, Anthony. How was your night?
Excellent.
Great.
All right, we intend to make a day really special by giving you all the trending stories in the last 24 hours. And also, both on the home front and on the global scene, not forgetting our deep concerns of the day. And our conversation for today hinges on the not too young to run match that took place yesterday. Hopefully, we'll be getting one of the key players to come talk to us if their aim was achieved yesterday. And also, recently we had the Nigerian Bar Association come out with a plan to offer pro bono services to Nigerians, and we'll be having some legal minds also in the house to give us a clear insight if it was the responsibility of the senior advocates of Nigeria to do that, and why it took so long for them to engage in doing what was needful. And other discussions actually will be coming your way.
Yeah, definitely. Also, not forgetting the whistleblower policy that was just, just talked about last week. Yes. So that we now have protection for whistleblowers. So whistleblowers shouldn't be scared anymore. Of blowing the whistle. But let's hope that it's really enacted and followed, to the latter.
Yeah. Obviously, we hope that it's going to be achieved. And if you put into consideration the first victim of force whistleblowing that occurred in Kaduna when he blew something against the former vice president.
And the whistle backfired.
But the question could be, is it because it had to do with an elite, or definitely, was the elite
there are a whole lot of
too
questions.
smart that he took away the evidence before the security operatives?
There are lots of questions, there, and that will make other people withdraw instead of being to do this and get into trouble. Let me just hold my peace.
So let's see if we'll be able, our guests will be able to, break it down what the protection law says. If it covers when someone is smarter than the operatives to get the evidence out of the way, then we'll get to know all those are going to come your way. That's after we finish with Linus Okori's clinic. Let's see what he's got in store for us today.
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to the Leadership Clinic. Today, I'll be speaking about time allocation. A lot of people have been talking about time management. In fact, it has been for one generation to another. And so recently, I began to think about whether it is possible to manage time. And it just occurs to me that there is nothing called time management. In that sense, what I would term it will be time allocation, because it takes an individual with a perfect understanding of his sense of vision, his capacity to make a difference, his sense of purpose, to be able to understand the meaning of allocation of time. Because time is a resource and it is a gift. It is the authority of the owner of the resource, in that sense, as has been given, that would have the opportunity of allocating time appropriately. If an individual does not understand exactly what life is about, what time is about, if that individual doesn't have understanding about his role, about where he's going to, about exactly his pursuit or her pursuit, the reality is that that individual automatically will fall into the realm of trying to manage time. I've always said clearly on my show every day that if a man does not really have a purpose waking up, sleeping becomes interesting. The reason why somebody will wake up in the morning and begin to define his day, begin to understand that he has only 24 hours in a day, and he begins to try to make sure that he puts all of his desires, the things he plans to accomplish, he begins to allocate those necessary moments or time in order to be able to at least coordinate his activity in such a way that they will be fully productive at the end of the day. Anybody who is listening to me today that has had a productive day at every point in time, you always know when you have had a productive day because you have understood a sense of the reality of the power of time. And so the challenge is that what we're thinking about is that I've seen a lot of people that have tried every day, they make resolutions. I want to be able to manage my time very well, and at the end of the day, they end up not being able to do anything. In fact, some people are left in confusion simply of the fact that they don't understand that is the vision that you create that gives you the energy to be able to see the future, plan the future, and accomplish the future. And all of this requires time allocation. Nobody can become outstanding. Nobody can become successful. Nobody can become accomplished until that individual has mastered self. Self-mastery, basically for me, is what gives you the right, the authority to be able to allocate time effectively and utilize the resource of time to aid you accomplish the things that you must accomplish in life. And that is why I would always advise that the problem is not that 24 hours is not enough for you to be able to be or achieve all that you want to achieve per time. The challenge is that we'd rather have a lot of people who have not spent time to understand their personal vision. And so at the end of the day, because they don't know what to do, because at the end of the day, they want to accomplish everything at the same time, and most of them don't have a clear path of vision. And that's why managing time becomes a top priority for them instead of leading self. When you lead self, time management happens automatically. Great people of Nigeria, you must remember, if a man doesn't have a purpose of waking up, sleeping becomes interesting.
Very interesting, not time management, but time allocation, says Linus Okori. I think it's just a switch of words, terminologies, and we're very good at that in Nigeria. But before we give them the trending stories, there were some little bit of concerns we had yesterday that we didn't really express.
Yeah, actually, talking about the not too young to run march, probably, the guest we had yesterday was so confident that, marching to the National Assembly, everything they set out to achieve, they're going to get it. They're going to talk to the Senate President and Speaker House. And feedbacks we got from yesterday's march showed that none of that really, they were not able to achieve all of the things they set out to achieve. First of all, they couldn't get to talk to the Senate President himself, and some other things that really went down yesterday. But well, we'll be having someone from there today, so we'll
give them more of the cues later. Yes. We'll save the best for last.
But we don't want to be disappointed, because from what Ahmed that told us yesterday, he was so confident. Yes. So when you even asked him what if it turns out the other way, he said he was very positive that they were going to get everything they set out to achieve. Let's not hope that everything took a different turn. The way it happens in Nigeria.
All right, don't worry. We're saving the best for last. She got some details she doesn't want to let out yet. Probably won't get a discussion proper. She's going to unleash them for you. Very amazing how things could actually turn around. So let's kick start with giving you trending stories in the last 24 hours, starting from the home front. And what's the big story?
Well, the first is the march from yesterday. It's from different parts of the country converged on Abuja under the umbrella of Not Too Young to Run campaign for a mass action to the National Assembly. This convergence is part of efforts at ensuring that the Not Too Young to Run bill that is currently before the House is not dropped but passed into law in the ongoing constitutional review.
National Assembly has announced that they will be voting on constitutional amendments. This bill basically seeks to promote inclusion, and young people should participate in the political process as a way of giving them the opportunity to contribute to national development.
Take your message to the Senate. The Senate is sensitive about the Nigerian youth, and I want to say that there is no other group in this country that have the capacity to build a new Nigeria than this age bracket. Bob Marley lived 31 years. Today we can see his song, music being sung all over the world. Jesus Christ lived on earth for 33 years. As a youth, today we can see his followership. Prophet Muhammad was coming to prophethood at the age of 40. Today we can see his followership. Shakespeare wrote his most famous book at the age of 25. Isaac Newton propounded the law of motion at the age of 23. So there is something dynamic for those. And I tell you, without the support of the Senate President, without the support of the Speaker, there is just no way that we will have been able to take this bill to this level. Why am I congratulating you? I'm congratulating you because this is a clear case of democracy working. This bill is a bill generated by you. I have only provided you with legislative support in the Senate. The honorable member has only provided you with legislative support in the House of Reps. But I assure you that this is a bill that comes from you. How is it a bill that comes from you? This bill is an extra of the gift that you people gave me. Continue to press on until this bill becomes a reality. Until we are able to see young people from the state parliament. We're not just the old people away, but we want to learn from the old people. So they have to give us the opportunity to join them in debating the future of this country. You can take it, the future of this country cannot be debated in isolation. You cannot be in a house, in your homes, while 60 years and 70 years old people are determining your future.
After being addressed right here in the National Assembly, the youth seems to be calm. The Not Too Young to Run bill, when passed into law, will give hope to million youth across the country. Austin Peacemaker, BTV News.
All right, still talking as regards the Not Too Young to Run march. The Deputy Minority Leader of the House of Representatives, in the person of Chikuma Onyema, has stressed that the Not Too Young to Run bill is still very much under consideration in the ongoing constitution review. The lawmaker stated this at the sidelines of an event in Abuja on Tuesday. The lawmaker, who agreed that the bill was initially dropped, said it was later mandated to be reconsidered after the meeting between the two leaders of the National Assembly. He, however, called on all well-meaning Nigerians to get their representatives involved on the need for the bill's survival.
Well, it's going to be, we're going to commence our voting process tomorrow. It's back on the table. It was initially not on the table, but it's back. It's going to be one of those things that we're going to vote on tomorrow. The entire House is going to vote. So, like I said in there, you have your reps, encourage them, tell them why they should have people not too young to run. Initially, it was dropped. I think it was an oversight, and then you vote I don't think it passed through first reading, a second reading in the Senate. That was why it was dropped. But the Senate President and the Speaker met and said, no, this is a good bill. Then they took it again, the Senate took it again. I think it passed in the House, but the Senate had an issue. But they took it again and it now passed. And then last night we met and we agreed that yes, it should be on the table. So let all members in the Senate and in the House vote for it.
To wonder why there's this little bit of hesitation as regards this bill.
And there's something interesting. In the House of Reps, it was passed. It has more support. But in the Senate, you have the older men who have refused to probably give the
little bit of hesitation.
It just tells you the mindset of those in the Senate. It tells you their mentality is still backwards, still sit-tight syndrome. has a hold on them, because I don't think it's something that needs people, Nigerians, to start pushing and lobbying their reps and senators to do. It just shows you don't have the good of the youth and the nation at heart. Because if you do, then you don't need to be lobbied to know that this is the right way, this is the way to go.
It actually says a whole lot. All right, moving forward, the proposed non-governmental organizations regulatory commission bill has witnessed a disagreement between the National Assembly and the NGOs. This disagreement was expressed at an interactive technical roundtable discussion between the National Assembly, NGOs, and CSOs in Abuja on Tuesday.
The proposed bill, sponsored by Honorable Umar Jibril, is set for an act of the establishment of the NGOs Regulatory Commission for the supervision, coordination and monitoring of the non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, etc. in Nigeria and for related matter. These lawmakers talked more of the scope of the act.
We feel that civil societies need to be coordinated. There's a need for them to, not everybody speaking from different sides, need to come together and work. And there's a lot, there are too many of them. And if you follow the speaker's speech, you see where he talked about some of them not doing what they're supposed to do, and now they're being used for conduits. They need to be regulated, so we know exactly what everybody is doing. Nobody wants to say, don't do this, don't do that. You understand, because that's what they are, civil societies. But we don't want a situation where people use them for the wrong reasons.
The bill does not in any way attempt to deprive civil society organizations from participating in the civil space. It does not attempt to, to stifle the civil space. And so I don't understand what constitutes a threat to democracy and an attempt to do what, will actually, create an enabling environment for organizations to operate.
For the NGOs, CSOs and others, this excuse of the National Assembly is not tenable. They say the said bill is an attempt to cage their activities, thereby restricting them from doing their civil duties as expected.
This bill, if passed as it is going to limit the ability of civil society organizations to do what they do best, which is support governance, help society, support the welfare of citizens, because we are going to be putting so much bottlenecks that organizations will struggle and spend all the time trying to meet while the work suffers. You can imagine that there's a flood. I cannot respond to the flood as an organization because you need to get a permission somewhere. Before we go for the main public hearing, we are hoping we can let the promoters of this bill know that it's very unpopular, it is unconstitutional, it is going to be shrinking the space for civil society participation, and it's going to hamper development in the long run.
For the people in National Assembly, as far as they care, what they just want to do is to reduce the kind of engagement that they get from the civil society. They don't want to see some of the work that the civil society, the way the civil society hold them accountable. So this whole essence of this bill is actually to reduce that accountability role that the civil society is doing, and I think that is why we need to oppose it. So it is for me, it is based on misconception. So maybe there's a need for us to clarify what does civil society stand for and what their power. Why do they want to have new laws when there are already existing laws? And those are the questions we need to ask them.
The role of civil society organizations and NGOs in complementing government policies as a major structure of organized society outside the government can never be quantified. It is, however, believed that this roundtable discussion would help both stakeholders arrive at a concession that could be leveraged upon.
Very interesting, because technically you cannot differentiate between a CSO and an NGO in Nigeria anymore.
Yes.
They seem all to do the same thing. But the funny part of it is that this bill is the same elites that use these NGOs and CSOs to carry out their bidding. So
well, they don't want us to believe that. They don't want to make us to believe that. They want us to believe that they're fighting for the cause of the common man.
Well, the common man will get to hopefully next week we may have to talk about this and see how it goes out. All right, still giving you trending stories. Let's tell you that the acting chairman of the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has urged civil society organizations in the South to closely monitor contract award and execution by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. The commission said in a statement that Magu made the call in Port Harcourt at an interactive session with CSO leaders in Rivers and Bayelsa states on Monday. According to him, the proper monitoring of contract award and implementation by the citizen is an effective way of fighting the evil of project abandonment in the country. He also pointed out that civil society groups are needed to work with the EFCC in ensuring that right things are done, not only in respect of contract issues, but also in all other issues.
And moving forward, we have here Acting President Yemi Oshibaja says preferring solutions to the electorate should remain the responsibility of every leader. The acting president affirmed this at the opening of the 16th Commonwealth Speakers and Presiding Officers Conference, Africa Region, held in Abuja.
Being led into today's auditorium by His Excellency, the acting president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Oshibaja, SAN.
Declaring the conference open, the acting president said leaders will always strive to solve developmental challenges if they can see themselves in the shoes of the masses in the society. Oshibanjo thereafter advocated a collaboration between the executive and the legislature for the purpose of addressing the needs of the people.
The people are angry. In Africa and the developing world, the angst and cynicism of the populace is worse. Conflicts, corruption, weak institutions have ensured that the largest numbers of the poor and the deprived come from our continent. And there is unanimity of opinion that it is the failure of leadership that has resulted in our present predicament. So while we speak of our legislative halls as hallowed chambers, our courts as temples of justice, and the executive villas as corridors of power, all suggestive of grand but isolated institutions, the reality for the majority of our peoples is the misery of the slums and the indignities of powerlessness.
For his part, Speaker Yakubu Dogara said strong institutions and not strong men are needed to confront societal backwardness across Africa.
We shall also seek to determine the extent that parliaments can coexist with non-state actors such as labor, the media, civil society organizations, youth organizations, etc., in the course of policy formulation and legislation. Without doubt, one of the core functions of parliament is control of public purse. To effectively undertake this responsibility, members of parliament require reliable, objective, and timely information and data. In the United States of America, the Congressional Budget Office serves to bridge this knowledge gap by providing dependable data to legislators.
The conference is a convergence of speakers and presiding officers of the national parliaments of the independent sovereign states of the Commonwealth.
All right, let's go to the education sector. Following the brutal attack on the students of Iperu Ijesha campus of Osun State University by the Nigerian Air Force personnel that left several severely injured and hospitalized, the House of Representatives have invited the Nigerian Air Force to explain the cause of its actions. Our correspondent has more on this detail.
All right, quickly moving over to the foreign scene. Now we have here the U.S. House of Representatives has voted to impose fresh sanctions on Russia, despite President Donald Trump objecting to the legislation. Senior officials will be targeted in retaliation for alleged Russian interference in the U.S. 2016 election. The bill is likely to complicate President Trump's hope of improving relations with Russia. It needs to be passed through the Senate before it can be sent to the President to be signed.
All right, let's tell you that the UK plans to begin the sale of fossil fuel cars by 2040.
All right, moving forward, Apple's boss has promised to build 3 new manufacturing plants in the United States, according to an interview President Donald Trump has given to the Wall Street Journal. President Trump told the journal he had a phone conversation with Apple's chief executive, Tim Cook. Apple has declined to comment on the reports.
All right, airstrikes have killed at least 9 people in the eastern Ghouta area near Damascus overnight, and insurgent shelling from the rebel-held area landed near the Russian embassy on Tuesday.
And then moving on to health here, a vaginal ring to prevent HIV infection is popular with teenage girls, US scientists say. Women and girls aged 15 to 24 account for a fifth of all new HIV infections globally. Nearly 1,000 are infected every day in sub-Saharan Africa. That's scary. 1,000 every day.
Yeah, the thought of the ring also scares me. Let's just tell you that Polish President Andrzej Duda on Tuesday signed July 12 a bill adopted by the ruling Law and Justice Party.
And then here we have wildfires in southern France have forced the evacuation of 10,000 people overnight, officials say. Hundreds of firefighters have been deployed to battle the fires near Bombs-les-Mimosas in the country's province Alpes-Côte d'Azur region. France earlier asked its EU neighbors for more help fighting the fires. Some 4,000 hectares of land have burned along the Mediterranean coast, in the mountainous interior, and on the island of Corsica.
And finally, from my own end, Europe's Economics Commissioner, Perry Moscovici, said on Tuesday he was confident Greece was turning a page from economic crisis and would successfully conclude a bailout program which expires in August 2018.
And lastly here, the U.S. Senate has voted to start debating a new Republican healthcare bill in a major step forward for President Donald Trump's attempt to repeal his predecessor's signature law. In a tight vote, several Republicans previously opposed to aspects of the plan changed their mind. Prior attempts to replace Obamacare have collapsed in recent weeks due to divisions in the Republican Party. Quite interesting.
Yeah, Trump still battling to repeal the Obamacare.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a personal issue and not really the fact that the Obamacare is completely bad on its own. So it's very sad.
I mean, if it's working, or if it's been working for Americans, why not leave it to continue instead of trying to, and then the effort you're trying to make to bring something new is not working.
It's just a personal beef. He just wants to ensure he cleanses anything called Obama.
Well, we are humans, so it's expected.
No, but I thought he was going to be more professional. And when you look at the American people, what they think they stood for, you expect better from him. But the American people and Trump himself, they're in a very tight corner now. Litmus test for them, because currently we've got the Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, saying he's standing out as regards the Russian probe, and Trump is all held criticizing him publicly, and I think it's very wrong.
Trump just tries to, in a bid to get out of a mess, he gets into more mess.
Yeah, by trying to first firing Mike Finley, then had James Comey, and now Comey, and now let's see how it plays out. This will surely tell us how true the Americans are.
Yeah.
All right. We go for a quick break. When we come back, our discussion on Not Too Young to Run March yesterday. The fallout is what we'll be looking at, and we'll be having Ahmed Buhari, one of the stakeholders, in the mix. Come and join us to tell us if their protest march or campaign march, according to them, was successful or not. We'll find out after this break.
Bros, I find correct words. Huh? See the shop for that side.
I will call that. Where be correct words?
Now the shop be down, now the next one.
Peter, see as people they pack, they go to the shop, go buy clothes. It don't reach like 5 days now. I just suspect this Tunde way this is where in Waka could carry Waka. See, I go blow whistle. I go blow whistle to go spoil.
Your whistle. Come on, go investigate the matter before you blow whistle. Whistle blow. Come on, come.
Thank you for coming.
Show first.
Come. Not only you the circle for this market. Why we say only your shop everybody come? I just want blow whistle. I go blow something. This is not be whistle blowing matter. Now MTN goodie bag. What be MTN goodie bag? With MTN goodie bag, if you carry your market enter another level, whether not for Facebook or for WhatsApp or for Twitter, for as low as 25 naira. 25 naira. Yes.
Or buy 5 what you like for 50 naira. Dial *131# to start.
So with MTN goodie bag, your business go pure.
Business is at its busiest, yet it's rush hour. Feel the pulse of the economy. Understand issues that plague the Nigeria economy. Join in the massive transformation happening in the Nigeria capital market. Be financial literate as I bring to you key players, the movers and shakers of the Nigeria economy. Flow with the narratives of how regulations and enforcement, corporate governance, innovative technology, investors' confidence, and market institutions affect the economy. Be the first to feel the pulse of the market on Mondays and Fridays, 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. with Gabriel Nisi.
Did you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the tallest reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen.
Politics is life, and life is politics.
Facebook, on Twitter, they govern in those places, but they're not ready to come offline.
On this platform, controversy to take center stage.
We are all aware how this present Minister of Agriculture imported grass from Brazil.
They say we are the largest economy in Africa. I never felt the impact of that economy in my pocket.
And I don't really trust the minister at all. Do join me as we find out who gets what, when, and how.
Today, the National Assembly has announced that they will be voting on constitutional amendments. This bill basically seeks to promote inclusion, and young people should participate in the political process as a way of giving them the opportunity to contribute to national development.
Take your message to the Senate. The Senate is sensitive about the Nigerian youth, and I want to say that there is no other group in this country that have the capacity to build a new Nigeria than this 8th bracket. Bob Marley lived 31 years. Today we can see his song, music being sung all over the world. Jesus Christ lived on earth for 33 years. As a youth, today we can see his followership. Prophet Muhammad was coming to prophethood at the age of 40. Today we can see his followership. Shakespeare wrote his most famous book at the age of 25. Isaac Newton propounded the law of motion at the age of 23. So there is something dynamic for post. And I assure you, without the support of the Senate President, without the support of the Speaker, there is just no way that we have been able to take this bill to this level. Why am I congratulating you? I'm congratulating you because this is a clear case of democracy working. This bill is a bill generated by you. I have only provided you with legislative support in the Senate. The honorable member has only provided you with legislative support in the House of Reps. But I assure you that this is a bill that comes from you. How is it a bill that comes from you? This bill is an extract of the group that you people gave me. Continue to press on until this bill becomes a reality. Until we are able to see young people in the state parliament. We're not just the old people away, but we want to learn from the old people. So they have to give us the opportunity to join them in debating the future of this country. The future of this country cannot be debated in isolation. You cannot be in a house, in your homes, while 60 years and 70 years old people are determining your future.
After being addressed right here in the National Assembly, the youth seems to be calm. The not too young to run bill, when passed into law, we give hope to million youth across the country.
Well, it's going to be, we're going to commence our voting process tomorrow. It's back on the table. It was initially not on the table, but it's back. It's going to be one of those things that we're going to vote on tomorrow. The entire House is going to vote. So, like I said in there, you have your reps, encourage them. Tell them why they should have people not too young to run. Initially, it was dropped. I think it was an oversight. And then, you vote. I don't think it passed through first reading, a second reading in the Senate. That was why it was dropped. But the Senate President and the Speaker met and said, no, this is a good bill. Then they took it again, the Senate took it again. I think it passed in the House, but the Senate had an issue. But they took it again and it now passed. And then last night we met and we agreed that yes, it should be on the table. So let all members in the Senate and in the House vote for it.
All right, how controversial can this bill be? We saw some of the lawmakers, one of them being Dino Melai, saying that the youths are the people that have the capacity to push for this bill, and mentioned lots of ex-leaders that were so young but still led the country. We had Nyako also speaking and encouraging the youths to keep on the move. And finally, we had Tony Mulu also speaking and saying that they should not give up the push until they see it passed. Looking at these three lines of thought, and also hearing Chikuma Onyema also saying that the bill was initially not on the table, but later reconsidered, tells you there's something controversial, something playing out. And right now we've got in the live studios Ahmed Buhari, one of the stakeholders in the push for this bill, and also someone who knows, maybe come 2019 plus more years, he might just become the president. Only time will tell. Good morning. Nice to have you, Ahmed Buhari.
Good morning.
How was looking at this different statement?
Yes.
Especially the last one that said it was not on the table, now it's on the table. Does that give us an idea that probably this older generation, they're not yet in the mood to give you guys a chance?
Again, thank you for having me. But to be honest with you, nobody's going to give you a chance. You have to go out there and grab it for yourself. And so this, for me, this movement is appropriate.
Okay.
It is timely, and I'm excited that we had to take on that march yesterday, because marches like that will create the awareness and the consciousness of the Nigerian youth. Because I've always been an advocate of participation. There's no way you're going to sit on the sidelines and complain and expect anything to happen differently if you do not participate. So if you know you have something exciting, if you know you have a better skill or better system of governance that is going to get this country out of the quagmire that it's in right now, you should step forward. So for me, if the bill was not put on the table, and now it's back on the table. I don't want to. I'm not really concerned about what kind of politics might be playing on behind the scenes. But what is most important to me is the fact that it is back on the table, and I am hoping that young people in different constituencies will, talk to their representatives and let them understand that, look, we want this into the past. If you do not pass it, they will get you out.
Okay, now let's look at the fallout of the match yesterday.
Yeah.
And our correspondent who was there, he gave us some feedback when he came back yesterday. He said initially there was the push and everything. People were saying, you guys say that they're not going to listen to any other person apart from the Senate president or the speaker. And then much later we had I think they actually had an issue. Therefore, I think